Gaijin. Alright, y'all. Welcome to another edition of Silence Vision Art and Life. My name is Adewale Bouquet Jr. Please review us, rate us, give us a 5-star, don't be a hater. Today, I'm going to get back to talking about top 10, and what I want to focus on today is my top 10 supervillain teams. Usually you hear about superhero teams, but not supervillain teams. So today I want to talk about some supervillain teams because there's been a lot of cool supervillains and a lot of cool shows I've watched. So it's going to go from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to the 2010s. We're going to spread it all over the place. I'm going to start off with Visionaries, but the villains, the Darkling Lords. I don't know, for a lot of y'all, if y'all didn't watch Visionaries, it's really one of these cool 80s cartoons, man. You had these characters that had these like insignias on their chest, and the insignias was of the animal totems that they had, and it was just really sick. It was kind of futuristic and knightly at the same time. So like it was like King Arthur and like science fiction mixed together. So the villains were called the Darkling Lords, who faced against the Spectral Knights, who were the heroes. But with villains, who we're going to talk about today, the Darkling Lords, and they were led by this guy named Darkstorm, who's an evil, conniving villain, man. And this dude was villainous in every way possible. And he led an army. He had Raycon, Mordred, Cinder, Kravex, Lexor, and Verolina under his command. I mean, the Darkling Lords were some evil swines, man. I mean, they were just unbelievable. They did all kinds of cool stuff, man. But like I said, they were really cool, man, because the cartoons in the 80s were really impressive. And when I was coming up with this top 10 list, I was like, wow, this is really pretty hard. And then I started off with like Visionaries, because I love that cartoon. I still love it. Can't find it. If you're going to buy it, probably have to find it on Amazon.com. But these Darkling Lords from the Visionaries cartoon series were amazing. I love this cartoon. I mean, Darkstorm was one of those great villains. You know, when I do my top 10 villains again, he's going to have to show up on there, man. So Darkling Lords of the Visionaries cartoon comes in at number 10. At number 9, Mega Man villains. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about the Mega Man from the 90s, man. I've talked about Mega Man a bunch of times, but I love the villains from Mega Man. Of course, you got Proto Man, Mega Man's twin brother, Guts Man, Cuts Man, Pharaoh Man, Iceman, and Dr. Wily. You know, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I love Proto Man. He's my favorite villain. But after Proto Man, Guts Man is my second favorite. I just think he's cool because he's the construction bot. He's strong as hell. He can lift just about anything. I mean, if you've never watched this cartoon, Mega Man, the 1990s, with Rush and Roll as Mega Man's sidekicks, you missing out, man. I mean, this cartoon was amazing. I mean, these villains, the cartoon, I loved it. These villains, I loved it so much that I love the villains even too. Like I said, Proto Man with Guts Man, Cuts Man, Pharaoh Man, Iceman, Dr. Wily. There's even Snake Man. That means there's all kinds of different villains, but these villains from Mega Man, they coming at number 9, y'all. At number 8, Mutants. And when I'm talking about the mutants, I'm talking about mutants from Thundercats. I'm talking about the 1980s Thundercats, not the ones that came out in the 2010s. I can't watch that Thundercats from the 2010s, man. It's just too much. Although it's free right now on Hulu, but I ain't digging that Thundercats from the 2010. That remake was not working for me, man. Especially when they made the Thunder Tank. That really broke my heart. But let's focus on what I came here for. Let's talk about the mutants, right? Slive, Monkian, Jackalman, Vulture Man. Each one of these villains from the Thundercats brought a different thing. Of course, Slive was the leader. He was sneaky. I mean, just always some kind of plot that was just not good for the Thundercats. You had Monkey, and he was like the muscle guy, but he was really kind of stupid, but he's still kind of the muscle guy. Then you had Jackalman. He was the conniving one. He was never loyal to anything. I mean, I never understood how the mutants could tolerate Jackalman. He was always betraying them at one hand or the other. Then of course you got Vulture Man, who was more the scientist, coming up with the gadgets, the contraptions they were trying to use to defeat the Thundercats. But you know, like I said, I love Thundercats so much, especially the ones from the 1980s, not the ones from the 2010s, the 1980s Thundercats. And these mutants, man, they were so cool. I mean, I remember the first episode called Exodus, where they just show up, all the Thundercats on the capsule, and the mutants are trying to smash everything, including the Thundercats in the capsule while they're sleeping. I'm like, damn, you got to be one evil dude to be trying to do that, man. So the mutants coming at number 8. At number 7, Cobra. If you've never watched G.I. Joe, oh my God. Whether it's the one from the 80s or G.I. Joe Extreme, but I loved the villains. I even liked the movies. I know a lot of people didn't like them. I know I liked G.I. Joe, the first one, with Marlon Wayans, Channing Tatum, Sienna Miller. But I love the cartoon, man. I mean, I remember growing up, it was one of the most awesome cartoons. G.I. Joe, Real American Heroes, G.I. Joe were there. And so, you know, you got Storm Shadow, Lady Baroness, Destro, Cobra Commander. Those are the four that I really love them characters. Of course, Cobra Commander being the commander, was the leader of the Cobra. Uh, but Storm Shadow was my favorite villain in terms of the Cobra. I mean, he was just cool as hell. Of course, he's the opposite of Snake Eyes, of course. But Storm Shadow was sick. Lady Baroness was just, she wasn't to be tested, man. You don't mess with her, man. She was just not having it. And Destro was like the scientific dude. He came up with with like different contraptions, different scientific technologies and stuff like that. And of course, Cobra Commander, he was smart in himself and he kind of overseed what everybody else did. I mean, if you've never watched G.I. Joe in the 1980s, you gotta watch it. I think you should be able to find it on YouTube, at least minimum YouTube. So Cobra comes in at number 7. At number 6, Skeletor's Evil Forces. God, I loved He-Man. I actually honestly like the He-Man from the 2000s, the early 2000s, than I did from the ones from the 1980s. I don't know why. I guess I just liked the way it looked because it had that Japanese look to it. And usually anything that looks Japanese style, I'm gonna really veer and go towards that. So when I mean, the one from the 1980s wasn't that bad, but I didn't like the way the villains looked. They look kind of cheesy. Whereas in the 2000s, they look really cool, man. I mean, we talking about Skeletor looking sick, Evil Lyn, Beastman, Trapjaw, Cyclops. I mean, they look really cool, man. I mean, I'm forgetting about Stinkor. I'm trying to think who else I'm forgetting about. Of course, Panther, Skeletor's Evil Panther, excuse me. I mean, the Skeletor's forces was sick. If you never watched the cartoon, the He-Man cartoon series from the 2000s, you gotta watch it. I'm pretty sure you can still find it for free on YouTube right now. So y'all gotta check that out. So the Skeletor force is coming at number 6, y'all. At number 5, Squadron Supreme from Avengers Assemble. Man, these guys were awesome. Dude, I loved them. Hyperion, Nighthawk, Dr. Spectrum, Princess of Power, Speed Demon, and Nuke. I mean, each one brought a different thing. Of course, Hyperion was like the Superman of the group, basically could do everything. Nighthawk was a smart guy on the team. He came up with the tactics of how you defeat the Avengers. Dr. Spectrum was a scientist. I mean, he had a thing to do with that crystal. Princess of Power, I mean, she was just a powerhouse. I mean, she could whoop Thor, she could whoop Hulk. I mean, she was just whooping everybody. And then you had Speed Demon, who was basically trying to be basically as fast as Flash. Speed Demon was like, I don't know, for whatever reason, he decided to have a grudge with Hulk. I remember that one episode. He got his butt kicked, man. And then, of course, Nuke. He's literally a nuke. I remember that episode called not Dark Avengers, but episode where Captain America had left the Avengers and they went to Crimson Dynamo was trying to steal a key, and the key was really to free Nuke because he was part of the Crimson Guard, which is basically the Russian version of the Avengers. But Squadron Supreme, they were some bad dudes, man. I mean, it took for Falcon, they got rid of everybody, and it took for Falcon to come up with a scheme to defeat them. Because I remember their main goal was to take out Iron Man and Captain America, which they successfully did. But then Falcon had to come back and find a way to get back Captain America and Iron Man and defeat Squadron Supreme. I mean, Nighthawk was so sick that he infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and almost recruited the Falcon. That's how bad these dudes were. I mean, Squadron Supreme, they sick with it, man. So at number 5 is going to be the Squadron Supreme. At number 4, Sinister Six. Now, this Sinister Six is from the one I used to watch, the cartoon Spider-Man from 1993 or 94 to about 1998. 5 seasons. I mean, this cartoon was sick, man. I remember the episode when Kingpin recruited them. So the Sinister Six was Scorpion, Doc Ock, Dr. Octopus, of course, Shocker, Rhino, Mysterio, and Chameleon. And I think Vulture was later on added. But I remember the first initial Sinister Six. I mean, I was like, this is awesome. And I already kind of liked Scorpion already. But then when Kingpin decided to bring all of them together to form a group so they could defeat Spider-Man, not only to defeat Spider-Man, but so they could look for the keys that freed the Doomsday device on the Spider-Man episode. I mean, these 6 guys were amazing. Scorpion, of course, he's got the tail that spits out acid. He's got ridiculous strength, agility. Doc Ock is a smart guy on the team. He comes up with all kinds of scientific things, and plus he's got the tentacles that allow him to just basically squash anybody. Shocker, those beams coming out of his hands, but that's straight hot, and hot. He hits you with that shit, you go about to be fried potatoes, man. And then, of course, Rhino, just unstoppable. He's basically the juggernaut of the team. Just once he gets going, ain't no stopping him. I mean, he's not that smart, but hey, you put those muscles to good use. Mysterio, camouflage, coming up with all kinds of contraptions to deceive the enemies, man. And, of course, Chameleon, pretty much fitting himself anywhere. I mean, he turned into a ridiculous amount of it. He was Blade. He was, excuse me, he was Spider-Man. He was Kingpin. He was he was just playing all the kind of different roles. Chameleon was great on the show because he was great for infiltration. I remember that episode where Nick Fury had to come and capture him with the help of Spider-Man. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous, man. I was like, wow, Spider-Man's going through a whole lot of trouble just to catch a chameleon. It took for Nick Fury to come and join Spider-Man for them to join forces to catch Chameleon. So that's how great these characters are. So Sinister Six comes in at number 4. At number 3, the Four Horsemen. Now let me be specific. The Four Horsemen under Apocalypse in the Age of Apocalypse comic series. Now, if you've never read the Age of Apocalypse comic series, you done missed out, man. I'm sure if you go to your public library, you should be able to get it and rent it. Check it out. I mean, these characters were awesome. Mr. Sinister, Abyss, Holocaust, and Mikhail. Now, let me break each person down. Of course, Mr. Sinister, lifelong villain to the X-Men, but also, too, in the Age of Apocalypse, though, he becomes Apocalypse's right-hand man in terms of creating scientific, taking from the gene pools of mutants and fusing them together to create different types of mutants with different types of powers. You know, Mr. Sinister was always a little bit sick in the head, always trying to just create the perfect mutant, you know. In the Age of Apocalypse, he was just even on a whole different level, man. I mean, he was never loyal to Apocalypse, but Apocalypse let him be around because Apocalypse needed his intelligence to create all these different beings. Abyss was like shade. He just could create darkness, and he had no organs. He was literally like a I don't know how to explain it, like a super body wrap, and he could just take away your air and cover you in total darkness and just pretty much have you just secluded. And then Holocaust, of course, he was shooting straight heat lava out of his arms, man. I mean, this guy was just incredible. I mean, these generals were incredible. And then, of course, Mikhail, the brother of Colossus, he betrayed his own brother and joined Apocalypse's forces, man. I mean, Mikhail was ridiculously strong. So these characters, man, the Four Horsemen, under the command of Apocalypse, from the Age of Apocalypse. So I'm being specific, y'all. From the Age of Apocalypse. If you've never read those comic series, you've got to read it, y'all. These horsemen were so great that when Apocalypse did the Chosen and the Forgotten, they were chosen. How can you not choose these four guys? They're just awesome villains. At number 2, the Ronin Warriors villains, the Dynasty, under the command of Lord Tulpa. You have Anubis, Deus, Sekhmet, Kale. I mean, Anubis was the coolest one of all the Dynasty warlords. He had the super move, Wake with Fear. Deus, Sekhmet, Kale. Each one had a different thing. Web of Deception. Kale, I think, was like some kind of darkness move. And Deus, I can't really remember what. And of course, can't forget Lady Kyra, right? She was also part of it. Lady Kyra was part of the Dynasty as well. I mean, she was just not to be trifled with. Lady Kyra could whoop anybody, man. Of course, and then of course you got Lord Tulpa himself. I mean, for most of the cartoon series, it was a floating head, but once he stole all the armors of all the lords, he combined them all together to get his body back. So at number 2 is the Ronin Warriors villains, man. I mean, those villains are sick. I'm still watching that cartoon right now on Amazon Prime. And every time I'm watching the episode, I'm just like, these characters are so sick. And at number 1, the Assassins. That's right, the Assassins from the Karjaf Assassin universe. Who you thought was going to be number 1? I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, led by Lord Sun Tzu and his general artillery, Excursion, Kanji, Revo, Snipes, Yukon, Coyotes. I mean, Sun Tzu, of course, is the overlord of the Assassins. Just a smart, powerful hand combatant, a warlord. He's one of those super villains that can get his hands dirty and also give command. Because I can't stand overlord villains that don't get their hands dirty. I mean, that's what Sun Tzu is. He's greater than Darkseid, Thanos. This guy's just the beast of all beasts in terms of villain commanders. And of course, his general artillery, who can pretty much do anything. I mean, if he sends her after you, it's game over, man. You know, artillery is like, this lady's just a great hand combatant, but she's so intelligent. She had that background of former CIA agent. She's very smart. She's very tactical. She just comes up with great strategies. Then, of course, you got Excursion, former Marine. This guy, you know, he's got cybernetics. I mean, he's just like gets it done, period. That's why his name is Excursion. You know, he's sort of like the first lieutenant to artillery, where she gives him the commands and then he executes them. And then, of course, you got Kanji, who's the twin brother of Revo and who's also the daughter of Sun Tzu. And then, of course, you got Revo, who's the son of Sun Tzu as well, who's the twin of Kanji. I mean, these two, Kanji is just not to be trifled with. She will straight break you off. She's just kick butt, no nonsense. She's just about getting it done, period, by any means necessary. You've got Revo over here, who's a great combatant. He's got tactical shadow suit. And this thing allows him to do just about anything. He can fade into light or dark. He's got those pincers in his hands. I mean, it's just a cool character. And then you've got Snipes, the crazy hot chick. She's just not somebody you want to mess with. I mean, you may think she's stupid, but she ain't. She's crazy, but she can break you off. You know, to come, if she's close next to you, it's pretty much over, man. And of course, you got Yukon, the strong guy on the team. Just his strength is unlimited, and of course, his suit also affords him protection. Pretty much, he's invulnerable. And then, of course, you got the coyotes, the AI androids that pretty much learn as they fight you. I mean, they're not your typical androids where you just get to destroy them. No, they're learning as they're fighting you. They're adapting. So, you know, the assassins coming at number one. I mean, these guys are just not to be trifled with. They are villains of all villains. So, y'all, that concludes my top 10 supervillain teams. And I want to thank y'all for listening. This podcast is produced, written, and directed by Adewale Booker Jr. Please check out our website at sciencefictionshop.com or sciencefiction.com. Please subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen, whether that's Amazon, Desert, Spotify, Apple. And you can also listen to our website at sciencefictionshop.com or sciencevision.com. Please check out our social media platforms at Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all at Science Vision. Please review us, rate us, give us a 5-star, don't be a hater. And as always, continue to aspire and achieve. Have a great week, y'all. Stay safe. Peace.